Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're climbing into the cab to get a feel for the world of commercial truck driving. We're going to use the official Commercial Driver's Manual as our roadmap to peel back the curtain on the incredible skill it takes to pilot these massive vehicles we share the road with every single day.
All right, let's start with a feeling. A feeling I am pretty sure we've all had. It kind of perfectly captures the immense challenge these professional drivers are up against every single time they get behind the wheel.
Oh, you know the feeling, right? It's that deep rumble you feel in your chest, the sheer size of it just blotting out the sun for a second. It's a super common experience, but it gets right to the heart of what it takes to actually control one of these giants.
And listen, that little bit of anxiety you feel, that's not just in your head. It is totally grounded in some very real and honestly pretty staggering physics. So let's actually put some numbers to that feeling. Okay, so here's where that feeling becomes a shocking reality. Get this. At just 55 miles per hour, a fully loaded truck needs 419 feet to come to a dead stop. I mean, think about that. That is longer than an entire football field, from end zone to end zone. It's a staggering amount of energy that one person is responsible for controlling. So you gotta wonder, right? With that much force hurtling down the road, how on earth do drivers manage that incredible responsibility? Well, the answer is meticulously. For a real pro, safety doesn't start when the engine turns on. Nope, it starts way before the key even gets close to the ignition.
And this quote from the manual just nails it. For a professional driver, safety isn't just some item on a checklist they have to tick off. It is the core principle. They know that every single trip, their attention to detail is protecting not just them, but everybody else on the road, including you and me.
And you know, this commitment isn't something they just leave to chance. It's actually baked into this super structured routine called the 7-step inspection method. And we are not talking about a quick kick of the tires here. This is a deep dive, top to bottom, systematic check of literally every critical part of that rig.
Let's just take one tiny piece of this inspection, the steering. A driver isn't just, glancing at it. They are physically grabbing parts, yanking on them, checking for any play or looseness. They're looking for bent rods, missing cotter pins. I mean, anything that could possibly fail and compromise their control when they're doing 60 miles an hour down the highway.
And the level of detail here, it is just incredible. They go from that big picture system and then zoom way in on the nitty-gritty stuff, like the individual leaf springs in the suspension. They check every single one. And why? Because they know a 40-ton truck is really only as strong as its smallest, weakest part.
And this is what it's all about. All of that meticulous checking funnels down to one goal, finding that one single point of failure before it turns into a total catastrophe. A tiny defect, like this one broken leaf spring, could cause a complete loss of control on the highway. This right here, this is why that pre-trip inspection is just so critical. All right, so the truck has passed this intense inspection. It's cleared for the road. Now the driver's brain has to totally switch gears. They go from thinking about mechanics to thinking about physics in motion. Now it's all about managing that truck's absolutely massive footprint.
The big idea here is what they call managing space. See, when you're driving something this big, you're not just steering the metal. You are actively managing all the empty air around the truck. Think of it like a safety cushion, a buffer zone. And the most important, the most critical piece of that space, the area directly in front of the truck. And managing that space isn't just a guessing game. There's an actual formula for it. The manual lays it out. You need 1 second of following distance for every 10 feet of your vehicle's length, and then you add 1 more second if you're going over 40 miles per hour. So, for a typical 60-foot rig, that's a 7-second following distance. Seriously, try counting that out next time you're driving. 1 1,000, 2 1,000. It feels like an eternity, but it's a massive, carefully calculated, and totally life-saving gap.
Okay, and here is a great little aha moment for all of us who drive regular cars. You ever see a big truck start to make a right turn, but they're way out in the middle of the lane? It looks kind of weird, right? Well, that's a specific technique called a button hook turn. They start by keeping the back of the trailer close to the curb, and that's to stop you from trying to sneak past them on the right. Then they swing wide to finish the turn. It's a little counterintuitive, but it's the only way they can get that long trailer around the corner without taking out a street sign or another car.
But you know, it's not just about the mechanical checks or the physical skill of steering the truck. The single most important tool a professional driver has is their mind. It's this state of constant forward-looking awareness. You could call it the professional driver's eye.
So what does seeing ahead actually mean for a pro?
Well, they're not just looking at the taillights of the car right in front of them. No way. They are projecting their vision 12 to 15 seconds down the road. In a city, that's like a whole city block. And out on the highway, a quarter of a mile. They aren't just driving in the present, they're basically predicting the future.
So what are they looking for way out there? They're looking for hazards. But here's the key. Their definition of a hazard is different from ours. To them, a hazard isn't an emergency that's happening right now, it's any situation that is a possible danger. See, the goal isn't to just react to a problem, it's to spot something that could become a problem way before it ever does.
A professional driver is basically trained to read the road like a detective looking for clues. Everything is a piece of information. That delivery truck parked up ahead, that's a potential blind spot. Maybe a person will walk out from behind it. A car that starts braking hard near an exit, that's not just a slow driver, that's a confused driver who might suddenly swerve back onto the highway. The kids playing near the road, that's a potential emergency waiting to happen. They are constantly scanning, piecing together all these little clues.
And this last thought from the manual really just brings it all home. Looking for hazards isn't a passive thing you just do. It's about being proactive. It's about planning. For every single potential danger they spot, that driver is already running scenarios in their head. Okay, what's my escape route? Where's my space cushion? If that car does something stupid, what's my move?
So I hope the next time you're out on the highway and one of those big rigs rumbles past, maybe you'll see it a little differently. Will you just see a big, slow obstacle in your way? Or will you see a highly skilled professional, someone who is managing these incredible physical forces, who's already done a safety check you wouldn't believe, and who is seeing the road in a way that most of us, well, we just don't?